Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, what we're going to talk about on this episode of the Bullet Points is something that we need to address. This is an opinion piece coming from Shannon Watts. This is the founder of Moms Demand Action. I'm going to read you a few excerpts of this piece that she put out around the midterm elections and how she's attempting to put a moderate face on gun control efforts across the nation. The only problem is we have memories, we have footage, and I have a lot of seriously pent-up refuting to do around these points. Everything will be linked in the description box below, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys think about this right here. I'm going to say a quick word from our sponsor, Established Titles, and then let the reckoning begin. The Established Title Packs give you 1 square foot of dedicated land in an estate in Edelston, Scotland, along with a certified crest like you see right here. This is based on a historic Scottish custom which will allow landowners to become lords or ladies, and if you act now, you can be in the LOA little plot so we can have our own little fiefdom. This is a fun and novel way to preserve the woodlands of Scotland. They work with global charities, One Tree Planted and Trees for Our Future to support global reforestation efforts. You could officially change your name to Lord or Lady and get it on your plane tickets and also on your credit cards. This makes a great last minute gift, and they have couple packs which you can get adjoining plots of land together. In order to give the ultimate conversation piece for that special someone, Established Titles is running a massive sale right now. Plus, if you use the code Langley, you get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/Langley to support the channel now. All right, my brothers and sisters, as I mentioned in the intro, we have got some refuting to do because there is an attempt to moderate the gun control positions of the left as they go towards the midterms. The entire perspective of this piece is softening and dampening the perspective of we aren't for all of absolute gun control. We're all about common sense solutions. I'm going to say some very vague terms and not tell you the details just to prove how common sense we are. Like I said, everything is linked. We would love to have you subscribe, but let's get it. Check this out and please send this out. Shannon Watts. Gun reform doesn't have to be controversial. Okay. This is coming from the woman who is running Moms Demand Action. Moms Demand Action has supported every single piece of gun control legislation nationwide on a state and federal level across the board. We've covered it ad nauseum. You're talking about AR bans, you're talking about mag bans, you're talking about red flag orders, which are dramatically unconstitutional. There's nothing moderate about these positions, but let's not make it controversial. All right, let's get it. With just weeks to go before one of the most consequential midterm elections in American history, the airwaves are flooded with images of candidates brandishing guns. Our social media feeds are filled with declarations that the Second Amendment is under siege, and many political rallies have been dominated by rhetoric that undermines our democracy. Wow, there's a lot there. The cold hard reality is the left is waging an assault on the Second Amendment rights of the nation. That's the reason they came out so hard against the Bruen decision, because it was affirming Second Amendment rights. Just like they came out so hard against the Heller decision, also affirming Second Amendment rights. The progressive wing of the Democratic Party and the gun controllers don't play in short terms. They play long game. And that's why you're seeing such a resistance, is because their long game is being undermined. Let's continue. And this is incredibly important to understand what they're doing. It's all extremist hot air. Okay. These candidates want us to believe our government and anyone working to mitigate the effect of America's gun violence epidemic are hell-bent on taking away your rights and liberties. But the reality is that gun laws save lives, and an overwhelming majority of Americans in red, blue, and purple states want them. Not true. Not at all, especially when you tell them the details of what you're proposing. But details are where the devil lies, because even Shannon Watts is about to go into some of the policy proposals, doesn't even mention any of the details. Check this out. And this is where we have the opportunity to educate people, because this is incredibly important. Amid a gun violence crisis that kills 110 Americans each day and wounds 200 more, poll after poll shows Americans believe gun safety reforms are in the best interest of their families and communities. Okay, notice right there, there's a live omission. She said, crisis that kills 110 Americans each day. She didn't mention that 2/3 were suicide, because that paints a completely different picture. If 1/3 are homicides and 2/3 are suicide, there's a different problem at hand than just the proliferation of guns in the epidemic of gun violence, isn't there? It's manipulation. Let's continue, because this is why we fight right here. This is the reason. These gun safety measures aren't controversial. They're basic common sense policies proven to keep families safe, aligning to common sense, trying to ease you into a false sense of security. Things like ensuring gun owners know how to store their firearms securely, locked, unloaded, and separate from ammunition. That's not at all any of the proposals that the Moms Demand Action supported. You can go into any state that was all about safe storage laws, and it had nothing to do with teaching people how to safely store firearms. It had to do with mandating people safely store firearms, air quotes. Penalties, house-to-house checks. The New Mexico bill literally had people checking door to door where students and children could report, neighbors and parents could report them to the state. The state can then come in and check your firearm safety. What? Common sense. Let's keep going. Empowering families to use the courts to act on warning signs and temporarily remove guns from a loved one in crisis. Okay, talking about red flag laws. The red flag laws are dramatically unconstitutional because what she didn't tell you here was that you don't even get a chance to offer your defense of yourself. You don't get to know your accuser. You don't get to even go into the court. The court and the accuser have a conversation about you. Your gun rights are taken. Police, armed police, show up to your door and take your rights without you even having a say. And it takes 6 months to even start the conversation again. But it's not about taking anyone's rights. It's about common sense gun reform. They don't tell you these details, and that's why we need to, because this is lies through omission. One more. And making sure that anyone who buys a gun can pass a simple background check. Background checks exist across the nation. Every time you buy a gun from a gun store, a pawn shop, any type of entity, you're going through the 4473, which is then background checked through the NICS FBI system. It is a lie. The only thing that she could possibly alluding to right here is a universal background check system, in which case you would build a national registry where the government knew where every single firearm was, which is a violation of federal law. But they don't tell you that either. Let's continue, because this is important to say out loud. These aren't ploys to take away rights. Red flag laws are literally conversations to take away rights. And our grassroots fight for gun safety has nothing to do with being anti-gun or anti-Second Amendment. Same woman who has said that gun rights are all about a white superpower in this nation, who's come out against police officers, this is complete whitewashing of history. But let's keep going, because it kind of gets my goat. In cities across the country, gun homicides and suicides have soared. Oh, suicides made an appearance. How's that factor into the 110 daily you were talking about? They didn't tell you 2/3 to 1/3. Guns are now the leading cause of death for children and teens in America. Completely false. That is not true at all. The study that she is citing is where 18 to 21-year-olds, the leading cause for them is gun violence. Specific subsets of the population, but she's saying all children. It's a lie. It's a manipulation. And when was a child 18 or above? Again, we cover that on this channel. Heading into the midterm elections, there is a lot of rhetoric about what divides us. But my fellow Moms Demand Action and Students Demand Action volunteers and I are focused instead on what unites us. After how many years of complete division? It's almost like there's a midterm 3 weeks away and the Democrats are losing in the court of public opinion. Anyway. And no matter whether we live in big cities or small towns, red states or blue, we want to keep our families safe from violence. That's why we're committed to canvassing, campaigning, and phone banking for gun sense candidates up and down the ballot, Democrats and Republicans. Okay. Who will join us in a fight to save lives. They are moderating their position because the midterms are close. These are the same people that have the most extreme rhetoric and have the most extreme press for gun abuses that you could possibly imagine in reference to the Second Amendment. One more thing for you, because they are not going to get away with this. By fanning the flames of civil unrest and danger in our communities, while simultaneously opposing policies that are proven to save lives, it's clear that the politicians showing off guns in their campaign ads would rather cash the gun industry's checks than keep your family safe. But it's all about unity, right? This is coming from the head of Moms Demand Action, the founder and president. This is not something that is to be taken lightly, because they are trying to moderate positions in order to lull people to sleep while their true desires come to fruition. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments field below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.